When Season 3 ends, many fans will ask the exact same question. What is Makoto's true power level now? And honestly, that sounds like an easy question to answer. Very powerful. Stronger than most characters. Stronger than nearly every known threat. But there's a problem. That answer doesn't explain what actually happened to him. Because Makoto's biggest change wasn't his power. It was the impact he began having on the world around him. And once you realize that, you understand that Season 3 changes far more than just his strength. It completely changes Makoto's role in the story. At the beginning, he was simply someone trying to find his place. He didn't want to conquer kingdoms. He didn't want to change the world. He didn't want to challenge the existing order. In fact, all Makoto wanted was a peaceful life. To build his community. To protect the people he cared about. And to live on his own terms. But there's something interesting. The harder he tried to stay away from major conflicts, the more those conflicts found their way to him. And that started creating consequences. Consequences far greater than anyone expected. Because for a long time, Makoto was little more than an unknown figure. A powerful anomaly hidden in the shadows. But that doesn't last forever. Eventually, kingdoms begin noticing him. Merchants begin talking about him. Rulers begin watching him. Generals begin worrying about him. And suddenly, something important happens. Makoto stops being just a powerful individual. He becomes a variable that nobody can ignore. And that changes everything. Because now his decisions don't affect only his companions. They begin affecting cities, then nations, then entire regions. And the more this happens, the more obvious one truth becomes. Makoto is no longer simply living within the story. He's starting to influence its direction. And that's a huge difference. There are plenty of powerful characters. But characters capable of changing the course of events are much rarer. And that's exactly what begins happening here. The world starts reacting to Makoto's existence. Alliances change. Interests change. Strategies change. People begin making decisions based on what he might do. And that reveals something terrifying. Maybe Makoto's greatest power isn't his magic. Maybe it's his ability to change everything around him. But there's another detail that's even more important. For much of the story, the conflicts seem relatively limited. Local problems. Regional disputes. Conflicts between specific groups. But that scale doesn't stay the same. It grows. And it grows quickly. Because as Makoto continues moving forward, the most powerful forces in the world begin paying attention to him. And once that happens, the discussion changes completely. It's no longer about who he can defeat. The real question becomes, what happens when someone like Makoto collides with the forces that govern the world itself? And that's when we truly understand the scale of his transformation. Because for the first time, Makoto no longer feels like someone trying to survive in that world. He feels like someone capable of challenging the way that world operates. And there is one character who realizes that better than anyone else. The goddess. For a long time, she appears to stand above everything. Above humans. Above kingdoms. Above the rules themselves. But as Makoto grows, something interesting begins to happen. He keeps escaping her expectations. He keeps making unpredictable choices. He keeps following a path that nobody can fully control. And that creates an extremely dangerous situation. Because the problem is no longer how powerful Makoto has become. The problem is that he has become someone impossible to predict. Impossible to limit. Impossible to control. And that may be more threatening than any amount of raw power. Because the truth is that Makoto's level after Season 3 cannot be measured solely through destruction. Or mana. Or combat ability. Those things are impressive. But they aren't the main point. The main point is that he reaches a stage where his actions begin influencing the fate of countless people. And that places him in an entirely different category. A category reserved for characters who don't simply participate in the story, but change its direction. That's why the original question may be wrong from the very beginning. Maybe Makoto's true level isn't a matter of strength. Maybe it's a matter of influence. Because after Season 3, he is no longer just an extraordinary adventurer. No longer just an absurdly powerful mage. No longer just a formidable fighter. He becomes a force capable of altering the balance of the entire world. And once we reach that point, a far more interesting question appears. If Makoto has already reached this level now, how much further can he still go? And what do you think? Has Makoto already become the greatest threat in his world? Or is his evolution only just beginning? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.